Hello all, Dr. Fox back here with you. We got some new updates coming that we got to talk about. We're going to clarify in retail. We had some classic stuff that also just dropped on the 31st of August. We'll talk a little bit about that. We got a couple of clarifications we'll get into. We got a lot of things to hit, so I'm going to try to get into this, shan't we? Dr. Fox back here with you, the weekend update. Just a couple of little tweaks I wanted to mention as well. Oh, just to clarify one thing about Gamescom when I was talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge last week. I meant to also mention that you can play as April from like the 80s version of April in her yellow jumpsuit, and you can finally have a healing character in there. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. I just wanted to get a chance to touch on that as well. To also clarify, when I was talking about I'm not in love with an actual person. It's when us human beings like to be able to, like, when, for instance, when we're when a lot of our voice actors work together, it's a tears of endearment way of sort of saying that we love the voice of someone or the uniqueness of that voice. Because especially being in that industry for so long, and especially in trans too, when you're having tubes put down your throat, when you got society coming at you, when you got your own trans who you'd think would have some compassion for you, tell you that you sound, this horrible person, and then you get outside marketing people to tell you need to market yourself as a man voice, even though my voice is not. We should be able to find uniqueness in all of our levels of tone. We shouldn't have to, just because someone's trans doesn't mean that they have to portray themselves as, and I've gotten that too in acting. They're like, oh, you could play this main character for us. Yeah, I know, we've seen that variation of, say, Lord of the Rings and whatnot, but I think we should still be allowed, if we chose, and that's fine, but we work so hard, why can't we choose to have this sort of androgynous sound, this androgynous feel, and how about just this androgynous uniqueness for who we are, instead of society stating that your tone has to be stated as this particular gender or this particular piece or this binary. It's the same stigma we get with, say, why we adopt a lot of black cats because of the stigma, if you will, and then some will have the conspiracy that it came from this other way of control and whatnot. And that's not what I'm getting at. I'm talking about the misunderstanding, because it could be a white cat that walks in your path, or you could go under a ladder that's any color, or a cat could be a tabby cat and rub in front of you, and that, like, it's this horrible negative stigma. And it's not about the color of a cat or a person or some being. It's just, and again, I'm not some entitled Karen, trust me, I've been accused of that before, and I'm not doing any of that. All I'm trying to do, and that's see, when someone accuses you of that clearly shows you to them that they misinterpret what your passion and what your compassion is, of how we have to be able to open up and think differently in the world. We're not telling you how to think or how to do this. We're trying to open the broader mind and have a conversation about these things to be able to allow us to be able to function and be able to get through things on a level. We get that certain things need to be broken down, and we need to be able to reassess. And we're not saying that this world is perfect, but there's just no need for that kind of judgment. And of course, again, it has nothing to do with me being that. I'm not anything like that at all. It's about trying to help, and every little piece that where my original ideas and thought processes and research and living experiences and everything that exists is a means of trying to come together and be better human beings. It's not all these people are wrong, all these people are right. It's not about any of that. It's about just trying to allow us to function on a daily basis without sitting here and, once again, putting a gender label or a religious label or a colored label of a particular animal or a person. And it's none of that. And when you get people like that, it really gets to me and it just tears my heart in half when people are misinterpreting what's trying to go on and what we're trying to accomplish. It's so construed and twisted around, and then you've got your countless people that will go out there and just think very, if you will, quote unquote, evil thoughts, if you will, and twist what we're trying to do in a good, kind way, and they'll cut and paste to make someone sound terrible in some form or fashion. And that's only one of like a 1,000 examples of just what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about that kind of thing. So it's a more of a clarification, and just to kind of come back, we're in when we share the joy of someone's passion and joy of a uniqueness sound that they have. We're sharing that we love the uniqueness of what they bring to the table, and we should all be allowed and start breaking the old ways, of the negative old ways. There are some good old ways to hang on to, of course, but I'm saying we got to start opening the mind up to talk to people and get that conversation going, to allow that it's okay to be a human being in these aspects, and that we can embrace a lot of these instead of having to feel like we gotta, oh my God, we gotta just, if that's the case, people wonder why I'm stuck in my home for as long as I am. But that's for a story for a different day. And I think with that, I know it's a bit more, but there was a couple of quick clarifications I wanted to kind of pass along as well before we really kind of got into the nitty gritty. And I covered a lot of these things last week from the big 9.1.5 drop as well. And again, I'm not here just about games. It's also being able to connect with other individuals on similar passions, and it allows us to have another tool to use to help us connect. It's not just about gaming. It's about connection in some forms, and then people will misinterpret that in many ways or take advantage of that in a lot of ways as well. The anima cap went from 35,000 to 200,000 in retail. At least that's already live as well. Some of the new Night Fae travel forms there. Excited to see some of those. The butterfly, and we've got like the ground one is the stag, and there'll be some other ones. It'd be interesting kind of see what some of those options are. I know that some like the Draenei and some of the allied races are going to have some more customizations coming as well. We touched on a lot of these as well. You'll be able to scrap your legendaries as well and be able to pull out like the Soul Ash and Cinder. Obviously, it'll still cost the material, but it'd be nice because I have a couple of... I think I have a legendary in my... It would be nice to free up a space, let me put it that way. It'll be nice too to see like there'll be a vendor, or not a vendor, but a way to transfer your anima while we were speaking of anima earlier as well, and be able to do that. The domination gear as well, for the different bonus activations that go along with that. The AoE target cap, it's now been... There was this big hassle with it, and now before it will still target up to 5 others, especially targets that are nearby, and it doesn't target them with say an area shot like a mage uses, or say the multi-shot that my hunter uses. But it will still hit pretty much all of nearby characters, just at a slightly reduced rate, because before people used to run through dungeons and they'd grab all these mobs and then they just hit there and just go boom and clear them all out, and they kind of got away with it. They didn't want people running through those like that so quickly, which, I don't know, in my opinion, you should be allowed to run through them like that if you so chose to, just to have that option. But pros and cons, everything, it all depends on a person's play style as well with all those. The Legion time walking, we got some more info about that. The keystones, you'll be able to, when it comes to like the mythic, you'll be able to equal loot from what you get over in Shadowlands. So it'd be kind of nice. I mean, not like top Shadowlands gear, but definitely better than, or the said level, if you will, for what you'll see for gear for, say, normal, legendary, heroic, mythic, plus beyond, if you will. And then, of course, the Val'sharah Hippogriff, 5,000 time walking badges if you have an opportunity to grind those out prior. As well, if someone has time when the next time walking comes up, or some other form or fashion. I've been accumulating my time walking. I used to do my main and then a bunch of alts, just to, you do it really quick and you're able to bring in a little over 500 that first run through, and you do that like 10 times, but it's hard because they don't let you transfer that. And we know we've got, I think, the November-ish time frame coming up too, like that anniversary every year, where I think they, in the mail for each character, they give you like 200 time walking, I think. So there'll be like 200 there, so you'll have to grind out like the 4,800 if you do 500. I think I had done that within like 10 different time walkings I had done to finally get those. It took a couple years to get those mounts and toys. It was not easy, and that one's coming in at 5,000 time walking badges. I don't think I have a ton left because I've been draining a lot just trying to get those reps finished up. I still have a handful of reps to do in BC, and then it's just classic old stuff that I have to try to grind out in some form, if I ever have the opportunity. I don't know if we will get to that point, but so that was some of the new information on that as well. The good news too is with the time walking, like when you do like your weekly vault, you will get access to I think it's up to 3 pieces of gear in your vault too. So let's say you do time walking that week, you'll be able to get up to, I think it's up to 3 pieces. And I don't mean you just run 3 time walkings, you get 3 pieces. I think there's 3 variations of that, like the raid, one of the dungeons, but I think it has to be on a specific level if it was Mythic or Mythic Plus, and sort of the variation that they use for that as well. Let me see. PvP, they've added ranks for gearing up as well. We've seen that as also continuing in-game, in retail. Let's see, the list of the costume groups with Battle.net. They're trying to cut down on a lot of the advertisers in there, and they want to be able to make sure that the authenticator used through the app, or if someone still has the old keychain authenticator. I thought there was some hotfix a while back that said they weren't taking the little keys anymore. But correct me if I'm wrong, if you've heard otherwise. That has to be in place for that. I know there's also a place for like new recruiting. They changed some of the options. You need to max out a character level and then have a minimum of 3,000 quests that you have to do as well to get into the newcomer chat as well. They had changed some of that. I know they had gotten rid of the spit emote in Classic, and I guess they're doing away with that. And there's pros and cons. And I know no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to get rid of toxicity no matter how good you try to change the game, cut off certain restrictions and other things. There's always going to be terrible, gross, disgusting, awful human beings that just want to play in such a terrible way and get off psychologically on people being distraught. And it's really gorifyingly god-awful that we have horrible beings in the world that have to feed off of it that way. We have to get their mind to reprogram in a different, more compassionate way. And I'm not trying to reprogram the whole world to be all like love and peace and all that. That's not my point here. We don't need to be going after anguish and anger, and we think that the human race is unsavable, and we have to look for those small pieces of hope in life. And we just have to continue to try to be we need to be greater than for what we suffer. And let me put it that way. My grandmother always said, Dr.Fox, when you come into this world and before you leave, try to microscopically leave it a tiny bit better than you found it. And we hope that we can have more human beings like that than for those to think the opposite of that. Because it just brings chaos, and we don't need to bring chaos. That's not. And there's a lot of human beings that like to feed off of negativity, chaos, anger, fear, and it's a really messy place. And we've seen it. If you look at history, we see it portrayed many times in fantasy form, whether it be through film, through art, through early theater, through hundreds of storytellings put through literature. We could sit here and discuss this, for decades. We never get all the way through. It ends up being worse than death, and having to have someone be put into a position, especially, this is how I feel constantly, having to live in fear and, in this constant form of fear. And when you feel it over in the other side of the, no matter how strong, and you're not giving the other individual strength to hurt you, you're staying strong as well. But no matter how strong you stay, you have that form, and then someone else goes, oh, look at that. I'm feeding off that individual's constant fear of this thing and that thing, and in fear of any little sound or shadow, or, there's 1,000 examples I could use for that as well. And then we have, there was a mention too of the chat feedback, that you'll actually hear something and not just think, well, whatever I said is not getting any kind of feedback. It's like I'm just getting it tossed out into the world, and it's just supposedly there's going to be a little bit more response to that, but we'll see. A lot of these are broken promises that make it really difficult, and just try to let's just shut those folks up that are complaining by dropping something like that, because a lot of times you get that, especially when someone sort of does the metaphorical shush. I would never do that. I know that's the one reason why my clinic was closed, is we let people in. It was what was it, the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We had a small clinic. I never turned anyone away. I wasn't worried about money. I wasn't worried about funding from some form. If someone was suffering, we let them come in and try to have a few minutes. It's not supposed to be about that. We have to find a new way. Now, I'm not saying that the world is totally broken. Now, obviously, there's much worse worlds that we've had to live in, but this greed, we have to. I know I sit here and I'm futuristically always talking about what happened. Where's the Star Trek feel that we get? Not for the elite, for every human being. And if something needs done, it's done, like they say in Rick and Morty. And I'm excited. I saw the new little Christopher Lloyd little Adult Swim little live action drop dimension of Rick and Morty, because that's originally what it's based on, and I thought that was hilarious. Oh gosh. But the art kind of shows the chaos that we're stuck in, and that's what I like about that. And especially in comedy, we understand that, and if you study comedy directly or indirectly or extensively, or you really dig deep into it, it's the satire, quote unquote. I don't have my other finger to make my double quotes from each other. Well, actually, one's happening off camera, because I'm trying to hold this notepad in place while we have our discussion for the day, and hope you all are having a decent Labor Day weekend so far. Just trying to pull ourselves out of some of that morbidness that we usually don't want to have to be reminded of constantly during the weekday, or any little interaction we have with a large portion of human beings. I'm not saying we're all this way. There's a lot of these aspects that we have to try to remember to step back. And it's easy to talk about them and to contemplate them and sit here and I'm not saying I'm bashing anybody. I'm saying that's what it can sound like. No worse for wear, if you will. But it's just always something to kind of open up and have the conversation continue. It allows for more conversations to happen. But then sometimes you get into these sort of intimate conversations and it opens up even more questions, and then it becomes even more. I mean, even ever since as young as I can remember, you get accused of being something you're not. And then you start to have more, as you expose yourself more and more to the world, more and more people are quick to judge, if you will, and will start to sort of put you in this quick little bubble of something. And it's something that a lot of human beings forget to step back and do because they're so quick to judge in some form or fashion, or they quickly judge you in a misinterpreted form than it needs to be. That's why I was so, if anyone had seen my Twitter lately, I was so upset about the whole life insurance mess. And, I always take every experience and I use it as a learning experience and then try to grow from there. I don't get angry and harp on something. It allows me, I need my moment to get it out. This is common. We do need an outlet to do that. But I also know that I kind of like, forgot the other individual, like they would start their day with like a really nice comment on their Twitter and then end it with a good comment. And any chaos that went on in between, they would find a way to go, okay, that was a learning experience. And I try to do that a lot too. Like even when I'm doing my walk, I try to contemplate and kind of think over, how could I have done this different, or what could I do if I've ever put in that position again? How could I word that different? But then it's no matter how many times you contemplate it, sometimes you try the 4 or 5 other options and then the other person reacts differently than the one you anticipate. And you can anticipate 20 different directions, if you will, sort of like a tree of it sprouting off 20 different directions. And you could be aware of all different 20 and then prepare yourself for 20 different reactions of those and trying to spawn off of each of those 20 different reactions. And it spirals on and on and on from there. But it's just trying to do our best to function in that. And I think that's definitely something to consider, to contemplate. But at the same time, we don't want to be beating ourselves up extensively, because trust me, as young as I can remember, and even to this day, okay, I still beat myself up horrifically, and I don't need outside sources, especially people that don't even know me, to have to beat me up even worse mentally, physically. I've had enough of that as well. I don't really want to talk about my POW days. I don't want to talk about my Afghan days. I'm not going to talk about my Iraq days. I'm not even going to talk about the Fort Drum experiences. And you'd think with that experience, right, that suddenly, oh my God, now we're locking the door. We're not trusting a human being anymore, because if we do, there's a chance we'll find a bullet in our chest or our head. And we still have to let some in within reason. But taking it to such a level of paranoia becomes too chaotic. And there has to be a level there where we have to try to still allow a few people to come in within reason. There's always a gray area for that. And it makes it complicated, because even if I say such a statement, we know that no matter what I say, someone's like, oh, she's just another quote unquote. And I'm not dissing any Jewish moms, if you will, or the Karens. But again, see, it's more judgments that they want to throw on it. Because this way and that way. And I'm sharing more of just the conversations, allowing us to continue to open up and have a conversation about things. Trying to do it for once without anger all the time. Because I love that line from Deadpool when he said, my family always started with the F word. And there's a lot of aspect to that. And you grow up in a place that has all that anger, that hate, and that and all, like, it shouldn't have to come from a place like that. It should be a caring and loving place that you can feel open to share a tear with. I was having this conversation the other week with a nurse that I know too, and we were having this conversation. And there should be a safe place, because I always tell anyone that is hanging out with me, and if let's say they start to cry in the car, I'll always say it's a safe space. Feel free to open up and talk about whatever you need to talk about, and find your zen, if you will, and be able to open and have an open conversation about it. And that's safe to do here, within reason. of course. But I'm not telling them, within reason. I'm just thinking that we've got to have some level of reasoning as well, of course. But what I'm getting at is it's really negative when you come from a place and someone goes, oh, boys don't cry, like the song. And it's not supposed to be like that. I think there's a strength in allowing when someone cries, because when someone is too tough and doesn't allow any tears to come out, oof, yikes, you better watch out for those individuals sometimes, because I'm not saying they're all that way. Remember, there's everything that I talk about, excluding present company, excluding the typical individual. I'm trying to use these. See, I'm a very visual person. I need to share visual examples of the negative of what people expect and how we can change that negative and re-look at that negative and try to flip it on it, like Beast Boy did in one of the Teen Titans Go, when they're in the mind of one of the units when they put him under inside when he was doing the Beast Boy That's What's Up. And he's like, let's flip the pancake in your mind. And there's a lot of visual truth to that, if you will. And I think we need a lot of that. I think with that said, we're going to continue here. We've got some new starter armor. So those looked pretty good. I'm sorry, I wish I had better visuals or better editing systems and setups that I could do better to show off some of those, instead of me always having my character just kind of standing there, sitting there. Sometimes I'll change the character or log in or something, and just so there's more stuff happening in the background as well. Let me see, the Classic 2.0. We've had some changes. August 31st has dropped. If we shift gears now to TBC Classic, hooray! This is one that I know my guild has been waiting a long time for. The guild banks, and basically a lot of people are like, go start your own guild, and you got to get enough signatures, and there's another chunk of so-called free storage. Not just sending them to your bank vault. And yes, that's great. But we're very ecstatic that we can finally start to merge some of our items. Like, I'm really starting to accumulate like a lot of like some of the motes and just extra materials, and be able to start sort of put them in there and be able to help in that form. And I'm so happy that's finally dropping. And after that long all-day update, that's part of what it was. It was the new patch 2. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. I was trying to find those before I got on today, so that I didn't look like that. But we had the guild banks drop on September 15th, going live, TBC Phase 2. So we have just 11-ish more days from this recording-ish, 10, depending on when you see me this weekend, or maybe you have an extended holiday through the weekend and you got busy and you can't see me till next week. Then we're closing in on it as well. And Druid Swift Flight Form. The Druid Swift Flight Form is in there, but supposedly the quest is not available till the 15th. So supposedly you can't technically go get it and to start it until the quest goes live, which is part of on the 15th. So I guess supposedly, well, I'm sure we'll start seeing a lot of Druid Swift flying form mounts popping up shortly after the 15th here around the corner. With that, the engineering goggles, also LFG tool, and of course there's many other little small tweaks coming over the next couple of weeks. But the biggest one I was ecstatic about was my guild getting their guild bank, and I'm like, yahoo, yeah, Luke. So, I'm just excited about that one. That's a big one. New Hearthstone promo. We haven't seen that in how long? I mean, remember the Flame Dog promo one, and then the Hearthstone horse, and the Primal Saber thing was from like the Hearthstone. They were trying to integrate a few different things, and I know in the earlier days they had like the Diablo 3, you get like a Diablo pet that came over. The little what was that no, not the shaman. There was this little I forget the name. I'm gonna think of it when I get off my weekend update, but Anyway, it's just we've got a new one coming, promo out October 12th. Part of the mercenary mode in Hearthstone, supposedly. I guess I don't know if you got to play all the way through or just try it out to get access to this. I just hope it's not that complicated to get. I know sadly I missed out on the I think it was the Primal Saber. Sadly, I didn't quite get my character up to that specific level in Heroes of the Storm to get mine. I had just missed out on it by like a day or something. And then there was also a time when I didn't have money to subscribe either to do it, for the free promo. And a quick, big, happy to a fellow streamer out there. Happy 29th B-Day to you, Hazelnutty. So a big, happy B-Day to you. And anyone else out there that I know I've missed yours as well. We had another big B-Day a couple weeks back. Someone else I knew from my past as well. I sent a shout out to her here a couple weeks ago. And what I've been up to, well, I did get to Nagrand in TBC Classic. I am over there. Trust me, if I could and I had the time, I'd be grinding through dungeons to get to 60 way quicker. Having to do it the mega old-fashioned way with quests. And it's and very little time and barely able to get on for maybe a few hours on a Monday afternoon. It's not been struggling. And then in retail, where I'd prefer to be spending more of my time, to be honest, I know there's pros and cons for Classic, and then of course there's that supposedly relaunch of a whole new server Classic coming as well, another relaunch of the first Classic Vanilla. And that's when, like Asmogol was talking about, and I think some of those pinpoints that he hit, man, I'd love to see like achievements added. And I know some will have negative responses to that, but it's just some of my wish list stuff. I think I even hit a couple of counterpoints last week or the other week about some of the things on that wish list I wish would would come in there as well. I am excited. I did hit, let me see, what are we at now? I think it's Renown 66. Yes, so we're up to 66, my friends, depending on how many or who is along watching me today as well. So I'm very, very ecstatic to be hit the 66 this week. So we should be hitting 68 coming up. Getting there. I think there's, 11 more weeks, and we'll max that out. So that would give you a kind of the idea, or maybe when patch 9.1.5 will drop in retail. We might get it a little earlier. We might. It all depends. I'm going to be kind of knocked out here for a while. Just a quick update on that. We are closing in this week. Starting Wednesday, I have to stop my meds for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then, as I mentioned, I won't have very many more streams for a while, depending on whether I'm going to sound the same or something. But then I can't speak. I'll basically be offline. I'll still be other places. I still write a little sign language. Thank you. I will be able to still either send. I'll probably be sending out a few pictures, and I just want to forewarn someone, a disclaimer that some of this surgery could be pretty intense to see if I share some of the, like, it'll look like somebody just beat the crap out of my face again, and I'm not taking that lightly because I've already actually had that happen to me, and it's a long time coming. I need this done, so we're closing in on that. And like I said, I'll be with you folks for, I think we've got, how many more weekend updates left? 2 more? So we'll get to talk about a few more things for at least 2 weeks. By the way, a quick shout out to all the... I don't normally do TikTok. I don't know. I was inspired the other day, and I've been having a rough week, a rough month, a rough couple years. I mean, we all have. That was part of the reason I did the Symbol of Hope with RC, but... And then we do non-for-profit with her too. But I just had this moment of one of my favorite songs came on the radio, and I'll share my TikTok in there. I think it's tiktok.com/ I think it's TheJennaFox. I have most of my channels under TheJennaFox. So if you go check that out, I think, gosh, there's already, at least as of this posting, I was up to like 700 and some views already. So thank you. That's way more views than I ever got. Well, not ever got. I've gotten close to that here on YouTube before and Twitch, but wow, it's you go from like thousands of views and all of a sudden like this big crash because you're not able to do it for a whole list of reasons for a while because you're spending your life trying to help some people offline. And then you come on and you're getting, views of like, I don't give a crap about views. I'm just sharing with you like how the numbers, tend to work. Or like when you're in the industry and then all of a sudden people are like, wait, you're who? And they don't give a crap about you. And that's fine. That's not my point. I'm here to continue to help. And then you come back and, some are lucky. Their views will go shoom right back up. And then you get like 8, 12, 16, 19 views, on a vid, and that's fine. I'm not here to measure any of that stuff. It's just sharing with you, like to have what it go from, and then just to come back and to thank everybody, to see these low. Not again, it's not about numbers, but suddenly like you get like a few people all of a sudden out of nowhere. I know there's a broader audience over there for that, and I did this little editing. It was a lip sync Car-Caraoke instead of karaoke, and I did it with this to 2 C's, so it's like car. Even though I was in my SUV, it's an SUV, but it feels like you're kind of in this car. Anyway, it was a special thank you for all of you out there, and another hello to anyone else that I know that's watching today. I appreciate it. Thinking of you, that there are still at least a few people that give her rats patootie, if you will. Yeah, we're a clean channel. I try to avoid the quote-unquote potty mouth, if you will, within reason. It's more of a family station. We try to avoid that within reason, but at the same time, we still try to touch on some pretty, I might call it a PG-13-ish. Some of the discussions we have, we got to have at least some sort of level there that someone can grasp their minds around it. But it's not about that. It's just I just really appreciate that. I appreciate any of you actually hanging around and sticking around with me this long, because usually my weekend ups used to be 10-15 minutes, and then we hit 20, and then we're hitting like 30 minutes. But there was a lot of information to hit this weekend, so I think with that you can enjoy as well, and I hope you all get to enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Let's get into this calendar, shan't we? As well, and I know a lot of folks that have sort of pulled back, if you will, from this mess as well. Trial of Style just wrapped up today. Of course, the Dark Moon Fair is going to be beginning if you don't catch me till tomorrow. As well, we've got Torghast Chorus of the Dead Souls beginning here, coming up. A lot of fall things around the corner. We've got like that Harvest Festival coming up following Friday. And then, of course, right after that, you know what that means? It talk like a Pirate Day and Pirates Day in here as well. And then, of course, after that, as always, I know when I know that's coming, I'm thinking, ooh, it's Harvest Festival. And then, of course, we're going to have like the Great Nomergard. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on this year to do our annual trans walk, because I'm going to be healing. If I do, there's going to be no sound, or I might try to at least, I don't know if I can have the strength. It depends on how quickly I can bounce back. I can't offer any promises of anything, but it'd be nice. And then, of course, we close in next month on some of the other big holiday events as well that I get very excited about, like Hallows End. And yeah, that's what I was talking about. See, the anniversary. It's the 17th. You'll get your 17 plus percentage increase there as well. And then, of course, as we go into Winter Veil, New Year's, fireworks, and then we start the whole year all over again. So, and I have a lot of you going back to school, or some of you going back on the day after Labor Day like we used to. Have some of you already been back? Do you know someone that's back? What their experiences are so far with those? Share those as well if you'd like. Course. So the Torghast, I was mentioning, Chorus of the Dead Souls is that's beginning this Tuesday as well. PvP Brawl, Cooking Impossible, that's beginning PvP Brawl War Song Scramble, that's ending. Area Skirmish Bonuses event, that's also beginning. Time Walk Dungeon, especially since we were just talking about Time Walk, that's ending this week because it's ending from this past week's Time Walking. If any of you need to get in that, quote unquote, we're in the weekend, so there's that weekend piece of gear you could go out and try to snag. You got to run 5 time walkings, and there you go. If you're trying to go for that new hippogriff, there's a first 10% chunk for your 5,000 that you need. Maybe you're already lucky enough that you've already accumulated thousands of time walking points already, and you're ready to roll. That's awesome, but it's a good time to kind of wrap that up, I think, as well. So, and then of course any raids or things that you've ran this week, those will always reset as well. And I think that's good. We've been kind of on here with you almost closing in on we're already at here like 40 minutes. So I think with that, let's take 2 things as we shift gears into the fall. For those that are playing Classic, shifting gears on the new Phase 2 that's about to launch, and then as we prep for 9.1.5, there's a couple things to think about. Take 2 of those, call me in the morning, and once again, we all know the drill. We will see you later.